What is up, everybody? It's your boy Fuad back in the building with
Fuad so excited he froze himself.
No, I'm frozen because I'm hearing people talk in the background. I don't know if that's from our stream or something.
It's our production team seem to be. We can hear them clearly still for some unknown reason.
Production team, you've ruined my introduction. I was on a flow today. What's going on, lads?
Yeah.
Okay, no, they're gone.
They're gone now. Thank God for that. We didn't want them diluting the quality of 100% pure Chat Shiz. Get banged. We're back for another week, and on Tuesday again, which is where we want to be. And luckily, really, given the news that broke earlier today, but we'll get on to that. Joined, as always, by Fuad Abdul-Aziz from Behind the Gloves. I'm Danny Flexen from SecondsOut, of course. And I say, of course, I don't know why I think people are going to know who I am, but yeah. Fuad,
Mate, you're famous. You're the mogul
Infamous.
of boxing media. Don't get it twisted. You are the guy. Look, I've even got my water ready for the live stream. We're ready to go. I've got this ready so I can talk as much shiz as possible. And yeah.
That's the thing, guys. When we're talking shiz, we stay hydrated, and we suggest you do the same. We're going to get on to loads of subjects. There's boxing taking place tomorrow night. There's another show on Sunday. We want to talk about some of the more novelty matches that seem to be either going to take place or rumoured to take place, as you'll see from the lovely thumbnail created by Mr. Frank Trevitt in the back office, beavering it away. But I think, first of all, we need to address the breaking news from earlier today, and that's that one of the two Golden Contract finals that were due to take place on Sky Sports tomorrow night is off, sadly. The one that I was more looking forward to be honest, as well. No disrespect to OD or Tyrone McKenna, but due to a positive COVID tests for both Jazza Dickens and his assistant trainer, former top pro Derry Matthews, who I interviewed only a couple of days ago in isolation while he was waiting for those test results, ironically enough. They are both probably home by now as they tested positive for COVID-19, thus scuppering the featherweight final between Ryan Walsh and Jazza Dickens. And I was shocked. It's the first positive test we've seen in UK boxing, I believe, since the pandemic restrictions went away. We've seen it in the US, of course, but I can't remember seeing it over here. Fuad, what was your reaction to the news?
Just gutted, man. I've obviously, both respect to both warriors, and it was going to be a great fight. But I've built like a bit of a friendship with Jazza as well since before I even like got into it. So just see someone who's come from like literally, he's had 2 to 3 of the weirdest, but I'm sure he'll always say blessed years of his life, where going over to Miami, literally just staying over at hostels and training. Like this guy has been through it. And we spoke a couple of years ago when I had I started this show called Punch and Munch. Don't do it anymore, but maybe I'll make a return, guys. Don't worry. But he was the first guest on it, and imagine like we didn't know each other at the time. Traveled down from Liverpool, and I got to know him really well, and his like work ethic and his dedication. And at that time, he still wasn't in a like he was. People knew who he was, of course, after his fight with Rigondeaux, but his stock market dropped a lot, and to see how he built it back up and get those wins over, in the tournament, which was some big wins, and then not fall short, but just this weird thing to happen is just, it's sad, and not just for Jazza, for Walsh as well. I'm sure he's trained his absolute backside off to get to this point. So yeah, it was just sad. Like I genuinely felt heartbroken for both of them. But hopefully, Jazza and his coach are well and are going to make, if they are having any symptoms, a quick recovery, and we'll get the fight back. It's not like we won't get this fight. We will get it, but just at a later date. Will get us more excited for it, I guess.
Someone on a live stream, Eggy Phil, was there not a warrant card where one of the team tested positive the other week? Not that I can remember off the top of my head, unless they tested positive before the testing process in the bubble, perhaps. But it doesn't spring to mind. But I should say as well, yeah, all best wishes go to Derry Matthews and Jazza Dickens. But let's spare a thought also for the other finalist who, through no fault of his own, has seen his big fight fall through. That's Ryan Walsh, of course. He's had myriad issues over the last few years. He's had mandatory contenders for the British title ordered by the Board of Control, not take up the opportunity to face him for the belt. He's now more recently had the British belt taken away from him as well by the board because they didn't feel that he could accommodate his mandatory challenger as well as being in the tournament. He and his team felt completely differently on that score. And now, he's done his training camp. He's done all the money. He's gone into the bubble. He's tested negative, presumably, and the fight's evaporated for now. Or it's been postponed. And obviously, he'll have to pay for the training camp again. He's not going to get a second purse, as far as we know. So it's hard for any fighters who have these postponements, but particularly for Ryan.
And it's the harsh. It's the harsh reality of boxing, man. Like, I just want people who know about the situation to just spare a thought before you ever leave a comment again, because boxers are very different to any other athlete. They don't get guaranteed pay. They put not just their lives on the line, but their time and effort that goes into camps. It's much more than just a sport. And, all due respect to every athlete in every other sport, they work hard, as I'm sure as just as hard as boxing athletes. But footballers are guaranteed a purse. Rugby players, tennis, they've always got a guarantee of money. These guys, even at the level they're fighting at, even at this final, which is meant to be something very big for them, it's never guaranteed. And last second, you worked your entire arse off to get to this point, and the day before the fight gets cancelled, and you have to go through the process all again. So before you ever leave a comment on someone's post, or a fighter's post, I should say, just spare a thought about what they're going through and what they've dealt with in their career to get to that point before you judge them on anything.
Yeah, unless it's someone I really don't like, in which case, let rip. No, but moving on from that, I think MTK pulled off a bit of a masterstroke in having 2 of the 3 Golden Contract finals on the same card, because it now means that even with this fight not happening on that date, tomorrow night we will still see a Golden Contract final and a worthy main event for a Sky Sports show. It may not be as good in the ring necessarily as Walsh Dickens would have been, and we'll never know. Oh, well, I suppose we will know once we see the new date, but it will certainly be hard fought between Tyrone McKenna and O'Hara Davis, who all kind of marketing rubbish aside, really don't like each other. I've spoken to McKenna particularly in the last few weeks, and he hates O'Hara Davis. Like, I don't think he's ever been more motivated to win a fight in his life. We shall see how
that's a cracking one. That's a cracking one, and you're right. They've done good by putting both on the same show, because then it loses a bit of value, of course, but it still has that edge and oomph to it. And that's going to be such a good fight. Honestly, like the little grudge match between them two, we've seen it go back and forth for a while now, and this is it. We'll see who comes out on top.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tricky one, because I was speaking to Derry Matthews yesterday. He's trained alongside McKenna in the past and fought OD, obviously, towards the tail end of Matthews' career. And he said it all very much depends on McKenna, because boxing-wise, fundamentals, boxing IQ, he's a league above O'Hara Davis, but it's whether he can stay disciplined, because he does like a scrap, and if he gets involved in a scrap with OD, he may not come out on top, because OD's a massive puncher.
And that's what's exciting about it. I think it's a brilliant matchup. It's a brilliant final, and there's just so many questions around it that's going to be answered tomorrow.
Eggy Phil coming back now, talking about the light heavyweight semi-final on the same show. Phil, give us a chance, mate. We've only just talked about the fight being called off. Now we've got the real main event that's replaced it, in effect. And we haven't got to Liam Conroy yet, but we weren't going to forget him. He's a good friend of both channels. We like him. He's fighting Serge Michel in the light heavyweight semi-final, with the winner of that to go on to face Ricards Batolniks in the final, after he did a bit of a job on Jose Burton against the odds in Latvia. He had home advantage, of course, but still, we expected Burton to probably get through that. And you know, I haven't watched the fight, so Fuad, you might know more about it than me, but it looks like Patolniks is going to be a threat to whoever comes through the Conroy and Michelle fight.
Say that again, sorry, you cut off for the last bit.
I said I haven't seen the Bolotniks-Burton fight yet, but you might be able to say a bit more about how difficult a challenge it's going to be for the Conroy and Michelle winner going up against Bolotniks.
He looked good, but from I didn't watch the full fight. I saw clips and the highlights. Burton did all right. He did all right, but the guy, you know, he had this pressure weird style where he was landing certain shots, and he Burton got 2 standing 8 counts, which I found weird. I didn't really think they were still doing standing 8 counts. I don't know. You don't really see standing 8 counts in professional boxing.
No,
but yeah, no,
not in British boxing, certainly.
He looked all right, but obviously, you know, in terms of, you have to give him the credit, the respect he deserves, because, you know, Jose Burton's a good fighter, so he definitely obviously causes a threat. How much he causes a threat, it's hard to tell, and I honestly couldn't put a finger on it, so I don't want to disrespect either fighter. It'll just, time will have to tell. I mean, he's an unknown quantity, even to me, even seeing the little bits, still unknown quantity.
The Bolotniks, whenever I say his name, makes me think of Robotnik from Sonic the Hedgehog. But maybe that's just me showing my age once again.
Definitely
yeah.
just you.
But we've got two Sky Sports shows in the space of 4 days, which is never a bad thing. We've got a big one tomorrow night, some nice Wednesday night boxing, and then followed up with Sunday night boxing, which I probably like even more, because there's nothing much on telly on a Sunday night, so it's quite good. I don't have to, you know, record Coronation Street or Casualty to be able to watch the boxing, which is a nice change. I know you feel me on that, Fuad. Yeah,
of course, yeah, 100%, man. Like, I feel that, you know, that's the vibes. That's the vibes right there.
Yeah,
Sunday night boxing is the real shit.
But it's the return of one of the best, can we still call him a prospect, contenders in British boxing, in Joshua Buatsi, former undefeated British champion, of course. He goes up against...
He's not a prospect, bro.
All right.
He's not a prospect no more. He ain't. It's just business. Joshua Buatsi. Next up, light heavyweight champion of the world. It's coming.
Ooh.
It's coming.
Who does he beat for that title?
Who does he beat? Oh, very good question. You put me on the spot.
Thanks, mate.
He has got the quality and the mindset and the attitude and the discipline to beat anyone on his day.
You fudged that, didn't you?
That'll come with time.
I kept waiting for you to get to the point and say who he's going to beat, but you never did.
No, I bottle it all the time. That's what she said as well. But anyway, moving on. Joshua, no, honestly, like, I'm excited, man. I just, like, I think I said it to you, like, was it last week or the week before? I'm just pumped to see him back in the ring. He's unbelievable fighter, one of my favorite, and yeah, just a good, you know, Kalic, is it Kalic's name? He's undefeated, a bit of an amateur background, fought Babic in the amateurs. Interesting. I wonder how that went down.
I think he beat him twice. I think that's what I read.
Yeah, he's got a good background, solid. So it's a good fight for Buatsi, especially after the time he's been out of the ring. But I expect a clinical performance all around.
Yeah, I mean, Kalic, I liked him. I interviewed him. I think I was the first one to interview him when the fight was announced. They did Matchroom did a press release with quotes from the video in it, so I'm assuming they liked it. And he seemed confident, but the thing that worried me is when he was talking about his style, and he said it's all about boxing IQ and counter punching. And I think if there's someone out there who can beat Buatsi, it's going to be because they take him on head on and pick him apart, catch him on the chin, you know, hurt him. I don't think you're going to beat him by dancing around and counter punching, unless you're, you know, a super light heavyweight version of Floyd Mayweather. Do you know what I mean? I just don't see that happening. I think, you know, him against Yard is a really intriguing fight because I think they're both quite aggressive, and I think if Yard's the bigger puncher and the more accurate puncher, then he's got a good chance. But I think Kalic...
But that goes that you have to think about the way you say that, Danny, because this guy is, again, when I say the word unknown quantity, you know, his style, he might actually have that punch power. He may punch harder than Yard. Who knows? We don't know that. You know, we've never. I don't know if you've seen him box, but I've never really seen much of him. So
only in the amateurs. And even then, I don't think there's anything, I would say, on his record, either amateur or pro, that suggests he's a massive puncher. But But yeah, you're right. I mean, he is largely an unknown quantity. It just worried me when he said he's basing his game plan on counterpunching, because I don't think that's the way to beat Buatsi, who's very poised, very intelligent himself. You know, ring IQ, a real thinker in there. So I think
on paper you'd say if he's saying that, and you know who this college guy is, that Buatsi will take him apart within 4 or 5 rounds, because Buatsi's good at stalking you down and finding those little spots. I mean, Conroy's a solid fighter in my opinion, and the way what he did to Conroy was like very impressive. But yeah, you're right. Whoever's gonna beat Buatsi has to make it a very dirty game. Has to be tough, gritty, nitty. Just get in there and beat him up essentially. But I think it's very hard to do that against Buatsi either way. So who knows? It might be smarter for him to do this counter punching, and he might get off the punch of his lifetime. Who knows?
maybe. I think Kalic maybe stayed amateur too long as well. I think that's the other thing.
I see your point, though. I do see your point.
But it's a good undercard. Don't want to kind of leave this topic without mentioning the undercard. You've got an English title fight that's really intriguing, actually, between Linus Udofia and John Harding Jr., who trains in the Dillian White camp out in Portugal. Linus built his career largely on Steve Goodwin shows, but has also been on Haymaker shows, that partnership that those two promotional outfits had for a little while. And he's been on Sky Sports before as well, on pay-per-view, actually. He was on the undercard of the White Chisora rematch. So he's a known quantity, talented fighter, hasn't always got the breaks. And then you've got John Harding Jr., who's part of a famous camp. He's Dillian White's his mentor. He's got to work alongside him, see how a world-level fighter trains and operates. It's a really interesting fight, I think, on that undercard. And then you've got the guy we just mentioned, the Savage, Alan Babic, going up. And this is a tough one as well, against Niall Kennedy from Ireland, who's fought on the fringes of world class. So that's a good fight for Babic so early in his pro career.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. But Babic is savage. This guy, honestly, one of my favorite personalities in boxing. From the first day we saw him at Dillian White's camp, the guy's definitely a selling point for sure. The other fight between Udofia and why did the name just leave my head?
Pesta, Harding Jr.
Pesta, yeah. Pesta Superstar.
Pesta Superstar, yeah.
Yeah, that's
got all his songs, all his tracks, all his albums.
Very good, very good fight. Both of them are not just boxing skill wise. They've shown their ability, but I like the confidence they both carry. It's very visible. They're very outgoing and brash about their confidence. So, at their age, I think they're pretty young. They're not that old. Will they be able to sort of hold that back as personalities clash? Because personalities are a big thing in boxing. People always, ignore the fact that your ego can come into play. Your ego could come into play, and that's one thing I want to pick up on that fight. I think, if ego comes into play, will someone lose their head and let skill set go out the window? Who knows? But it's a good fight. I really like that fight as well on the undercard. I think it makes the undercard a lot more exciting as well, having that type of fight on there.
And since we last spoke, I think as well, we've seen Usyk Chisora finally confirmed and get a date. Yeah. Appropriately enough for two strange characters. It's going to be on Halloween. Did we discuss this last week?
I didn't even think about that. That is such a good Fright night. That's amazing. That is amazing. They could do the best promo for that, the best promo.
If Chisora doesn't come out dressed as a pumpkin, I want my money back.
Quick question: where is this Saturday's fight taking place?
I'm going to tell you, it's at the Marshall Arena in Milton Keynes.
The what arena?
The Marshall Arena in Milton Keynes. It's where they've been doing some of the matchroom snooker recently, and they've got apparently accommodation for people within the arena, so the whole fight bubble can take place there. So that's one of the advantages. I don't know if October 17th is going to be there as well, but I think the venue is going to change after that, from the Chisora show onwards.
Yeah.
So it's kind of relative home advantage to Linus Udofia, I guess, who's from Luton.
Let me just read out some of these comments on our chat.
Go.
TMT says, these two are boring. Bye. Well, TMT, I don't know what you want us to do. If you want us to jump around and sing, I could do that for you, mate. But here on Chat Shiz Get Banged, that's exactly what it is. You're going by the title. Do not chat shiz, or else you'll get banged. No, on a serious note, let us talk about boxing. We're here to discuss about what's going on. And if you don't want to hear about what's going on, then leave. You can leave. That's not a problem.
It's quite subtle, his point. I don't know what he's getting at. What's he trying to say? Get off the fence, TMT. Tell us how you really feel. Jesus.
TMT, come on, like, at least put a real name on there so I can call you by your name. Why are you, Mayweather's little
The Muppet
I don't
team.
understand that. Come on.
The Muppet team. That's who you are, TMT.
We've got Fernando Prieto saying, which fool wants to square up? Yo, I'll take you fools any day. I definitely don't want to square up you, mate. You sound like a nutter, so
you get a lower class of commenter on Behind the Gloves live chat, I think, compared to Seconds Out.
Well, we've got some interesting people on here, but we do have some of the nice guys as well. Fuad, you are the best, bro. There you go. That was by Viva El Goroba Catalan.
Mrs. Abdul-Aziz there.
Thank you, my guy. I appreciate you a lot.
I can't believe your mum and dad have got alt accounts.
One love.
I can't believe your parents have got alt accounts. What's going on? Fuad's the best. We love you, Fuad. Don't miss Sunday lunch.
Yeah, I know. Shut up.
It's good stuff.
Can we talk about the super fights? Can we talk about
yeah, we can. I think a lot of people are probably waiting for us to talk about what's actually in the thumbnail for the show. So let's do it. I think this all started. I mean, it all started years ago, but I think this year's madness, this year's selected craziness, started with Roy Jones Jr. and Mike Tyson deciding they would come out of retirement for a supposed exhibition against each other, which has now been postponed to November, but as far as we know, is still happening. And following in their, curious footsteps is potentially Floyd Mayweather against Logan Paul. We're not sure that's going to happen or not. And one that is very likely to happen early next year, Conor McGregor and Manny Pacquiao. This is right up your street, surely, Fuad. Just before we get onto it as well, did you watch the Little Man pay-per-view? I bet you did.
I didn't watch the fight because I was out, but I watched the highlights, and I'm sure it was worth it. $4.99 for a good scrap between two guys that really did go in there. Fair play to them. Fair play.
Joe Lee, who we both know, texted me to say he watched it and he paid for it. And I said, well, how much was it? He said $5. I said, oh, I can kind of forgive it. He was like, yeah, it's 6 rounds. I said, really? People wanted to watch 6 rounds of that? He said, 2-minute rounds. Does that make a difference? Fair play, they made their money. But it shows 2020 is like no other year. Like, you wouldn't get it. What would you make of Floyd Mayweather potentially locking horns with YouTube superstar Logan Paul?
It's another genius move from Floyd, because does Floyd Mayweather really give a shiz about behind the gloves and Seconds Out saying, oh, it's a disgrace to boxing? No, he doesn't. He wants to make the peas and let him be.
Who's that?
Okay. That was me being very excited. Listen, if Floyd only knows mainly fighting. He's got his promotional company, management, blah, blah, blah. But let's get straight to the point. The one thing Floyd Mayweather is good at is fighting. And that's the main thing. And that's his way of making income. And that's how he knows to make income. Whether it's professionally or exhibition bouts, that's what he does. After retiring, he came back and he took on Conor McGregor, because Conor McGregor was and maybe still is one of the biggest pulls, if not the biggest pull, in combat sport. That talks the talk.
He's the biggest pull, but he's not the biggest Paul. See what I did there?
Shut up. Just don't even try those puns, please. But getting to the point, he takes on McGregor. He makes a hell of a lot of money. Then after that, he retires from professional boxing. He's got that nice 50 or no. It makes everyone happy. It's a even. It's a nice number, 50, nothing more. Then he goes on to Japan, where the money is as well, with the Rising or Risen, whatever it's called. Makes a nice little money there, knocking out a 19-year-old kid who's like 3 divisions below him. Fair enough. Make the P. We said a lot about that. Remember when it happened? Everyone was like, "Why is Mayweather?" He don't care. He made his money. He left. Now this one may just be the best one of them all because he's pulled out the card where he's fighting a guy who has had one professional fight, lost it, who's way bigger than him. So people will actually go, "Oh, Logan's got that one chance of landing on Floyd." All right, yeah, humanly think he's got that one chance of landing on Floyd. But let's just talk about it. Floyd's not stupid. He's not gonna go in there and put his head there to get hit. He's just gonna mess about like he does and do whatever. And the reason he's gonna make the most money of this one is because Logan Paul is huge. Everyone knows Logan, like especially this generation. You know who Logan Paul is, whether you're in the boxing community, the YouTube community, the music. Logan Paul is a superstar of the internet, and he will be making a fat check against Logan. So whatever, let it be, and it is what it is.
Let it be.
I'm more excited about the Pacquiao one. I'll tell you that now.
Jesus. Everyone knows who Logan Paul is. I can honestly say until he fought KSI, I didn't know he or KSI were. But hey, I'm not the target demographic.
You know now, though. No, but you know now, though. That's what I'm saying. In the boxing world, now you know who he is. If he fought him 3 years ago when Logan didn't have a fight, it's a bit more weird. Now it's perfect. People in the boxing world know exactly who Logan Paul is. A man walking down the street who may just train in boxing every now and then will probably know who Logan is because he had that YouTube fight, isn't it? That YouTuber.
Yeah, I mean, I think long term for boxing, I don't think there's any great benefits. I don't think it will do the sport much harm either. But I don't think there's any great benefits. I don't buy this whole thing sold to us in the past that people will flock from the YouTube audience and suddenly stay with boxing because they'll be entertained by whatever they see on the undercard. I don't think it works like that. I think they're two distinct audiences, but I think it will do mammoth numbers, and that's what Floyd Mayweather's about these days, and for a large portion of his career. It's not the fighting team or the boxing team, it's the money team. He's not Floyd Boxer Legacy Mayweather, is he? Well, it'd be a terrible nickname if it was, but he's Money Mayweather, and this ticks all those boxes, so fair play to him.
You're talking about the sport being harmed from it, but why don't we just be honest? Because this sport is the most open sport. I don't want to use the word circus because that's disrespectful. It's not circus, but people will say it's a circus because of the fights that do happen. Listen, it's the most weirdest sport out there. Again, when I say it's the weirdest in terms of pros not making enough money, it's just so open that people shouldn't even be mad at these Logan Paul fights happening. Just accept the fact boxing is different. It's not football.
Just beg to get on the undercard.
Yeah, I mean, I probably will feature on one myself one day. You will see. But it's the most open thing ever. You just have to get on with it. If you're a fan, certain things.
I think we've got some Russian hackers who didn't like what Fuad was saying then because they've decided to distort his speech while he was mid-flow. Are you back with us?
We're frozen.
No, we're not. We're back.
Were we okay?
No, we missed the last part of what you said. I said Russian hackers must have not liked what you were going on about and they've distorted you.
Oh, right. Yeah, I can't even remember what I said. I said something about, just if you're a boxing fan, just accept the fact that this is boxing. Like, you will get these celeb fights and this fights because it's a very different thing compared to any other sport. So stop bitching and just accept it and move on. Watch whatever suits you. If you want to watch Logan Paul, watch Logan. I'll watch it because I'm into that side of the world. And if you're not, just watch normal professional boxing. No one's getting harmed. Stop complaining about it. That's my thing.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I won't watch it, but I'll take part in the build-up and I'll look forward to the views we'll get from it and happy days. It doesn't bother me in the slightest. Logan Paul, like many celebrities, have got a certain skill. And this is what people say about celebrities in the internet age is that they're talentless. You hear it a long time. It used to be people like Jordan and those kind of people in the past, Katie Price. They're talentless and there was kind of a sneering, condescending tone applied to them. But the thing is, it is a talent to take what little you might have and translate that into a business, into an entrepreneurial concept that makes you money. That is a talent in itself. And Logan Paul is certainly not a good boxer, but he is a YouTube star. He's harnessed an audience and he knows that's his value. And he can bring that audience wherever he wants to. And he's decided that boxing, quite shrewdly, is the one that will pay him the most money for that audience. You know, fair play to him. How can you look down on that? I don't, you know, I've never really understood it. Now, as a sporting contest, and I still don't think the underdog in this has a great chance, but as a sporting contest, there is more credibility, I think, than Mayweather Paul that you can attach to Manny Pacquiao against Conor McGregor, which I'm told there's a very good chance happens early next year.
Yeah, I think it'll happen. I think it'll happen. And listen, there's definitely a chance that Conor can do something. Let's look. He's a martial artist. I'm just saying. I'm just saying it for the people that are gonna say whatever they want to say. But let me just say this: Floyd Mayweather hadn't stopped anyone for I don't know how long. He ended up stopping Mayweather. Sorry, he ended up stopping McGregor by coming forward, hands up, coming forward. We don't see that from Mayweather. When I say Pacquiao turns like he always does, McGregor's gonna get the shock of his life when he gets stopped. I feel bad because the way Pacquiao fights is completely wrong for McGregor. McGregor needs to get used to this boxing thing. I understand he's a great stand-up fighter, got this brilliant left hand that can land. Don't get me wrong. He can land it, and you know, man's getting older, whatever. The argument's there, and the respect for McGregor from me is always there. But in my opinion, this guy, Manny Pacquiao, boxing legends, 8-division world champion, still fighting top competitors, still knocking down top competitors, right, is the completely wrong style and fight for Conor to make any money from, and he will obliterate him.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, thing is, right, yeah, he's a good puncher, and that's what people say having watched his UFC fights. But what you got to understand, in MMA, it's completely different. The stances are different, the approaches are different. And when Conor McGregor's landing these concussive shots, a lot of the time, his opponent will be anticipating potentially a punch, potentially a kick, potentially an attempt at a takedown. There's so many things to watch out for in MMA. It makes it easier for him to land his shots, particularly the ones that come from unorthodox angles. And by unorthodox, I mean for real boxers, not for MMA practitioners. So it's one of those. I don't think his punches, as devastating as they are in the MMA world, are anywhere near as effective in boxing, because these guys are stand-up fundamental boxers who've been doing it from a very young age. And Conor must know that because he was an amateur boxer himself before he transitioned into UFC.
Yeah, I do want to see how he, like, I respect Conor for coming into boxing because, you know, we've always seen the boxing MMA crossover, and I'm all for it, you know, and especially someone like Conor who does have great hands. It's good to see him come into the world of boxing. He's obviously, because of the poll, he's getting these huge fights with these legends, but I am actually excited to see how he adapts from that first fight, because, you know, exactly what you said. There's so much style that goes into MMA, and so much discipline they have to focus on. When McGregor fought Mayweather, like, you know, me and you will probably get knocked out by McGregor. Let's be honest, but we can spot the fact that he was throwing arm shots.
Yeah, mate, we definitely get knocked out by Conor McGregor. Let's be honest.
The technique was off. It was more. It just didn't seem like a boxer's type of punching. He was throwing arm shots, and he was tiring himself out way faster than just the way Floyd was doing.
I love that probably though. I love it. That's the highlight of the show for me.
Listen, I've got a nasty right hand left hook. I've got a nasty right hand left hook.
That's all I felt it, mate. I felt it, but you know, it's Conor McGregor. Oh no, it's brilliant. But yeah, listen, I mean, Manny Pacquiao.
If you don't believe in yourself, no one will.
You will. Yeah.
I believe in myself. It is what it is.
Well, Manny Pacquiao still a top world-class level fighter. He's not the fighter he was 5 years ago, and no one says he is, but he beat Keith Thurman at the age of 41. Do you know what I mean? And Keith Thurman was an undefeated world champion who had beaten the likes of Sean Porter and Danny Garcia. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Manny Pacquiao's a ferocious guy in the ring still. You know, he's not the thrashing machine of 5 years ago, but he's still a ruthless operator. And he won't, and I said this to one of his associates last night, he won't be going in there to carry, and I'm not sure, there's no evidence either way that Floyd Mayweather definitely carried Conor McGregor. We've got to be very careful what we say on video. But there were rumours that he had, there were allegations that he had. And there's no way Pacquiao would do that. It's not in his nature. As soon as he hurts him, he'll be steaming in to finish the fight. That's just what he's like. And you fear for McGregor, not long term or anything, but you fear for him. It could be an early night and a bit of a bruising to his ego, but I'm sure the massive increase once again in his bank balance will make up for it.
Yeah. And McGregor's so inactive and his discipline's all over the gaff. That's another addition. If he was continuously active and, you know, showing us that he's doing his thing, I don't know. I agree with you. His health is on the line against someone like Manny Pacquiao, who can really, really mess you up, man. Especially if you're not a professional boxer. I don't care if you're this MMA legend. Listen, it's a completely different discipline when it comes to pure boxing. And you're talking about, you know, Mayweather, he got away. Styles make fights. And if Mayweather can stop you, well, Mayweather is not known for that. Manny Pacquiao, like I said, will obliterate you.
We've had a comment from Chris Mason. I hope it's the Chris Mason, good friend of mine. Darts, former darts player, pundit, etc. Now also has a habit of pulling exceptionally attractive women, despite, you know, having a terrible taste in shirts. But fair play to him. And he says Conor doesn't really have any boxing fundamentals. Great MMA fighter, and I'd go along with that. I mean, he was an amateur boxer, but it was such a long time ago. Now I think all those boxing basics have been hammered out of him by this point in becoming a fighter who can transition and mix all those different styles. You know, I have a huge amount of respect for MMA fighters. I don't enjoy watching it as much as I enjoy boxing. I've been brought up in boxing, but I've got to say, you know, the way they train all those different elements and then have to use them either in tandem or know when to use them. It's like punch selection for a boxer, knowing which shot to throw when, but taken to a whole other level of difficulty.
Yeah. And it goes into the casual saying of, you know, if a boxer were to go, if Manny Pacquiao were to step into the octagon, probably get knocked out straight up. It is what it is. And I know it's a bit of a, you know, direct comparison, but it's along the lines of what we're trying to say as well.
Now, crossover fights. We'll end on a bit of a fun note. Crossover fights. What would you like to see? Who would you like to see, like from the MMA world or the non-boxing world, come in and fight a boxer? And which boxer would you like them to fight?
Ooh, good question.
Thanks, mate.
I've heard that Nate Diaz, both of them actually, both the Diaz brothers have serious hands. Andre Ward's used them as sparring partners, and he, you know, if you're getting compliments from Andre Ward, you know, he seemed pretty serious when he said it. Nate is a bit, he's been in the game for so long, took so much of it, you know, he's got these scars that open up really quickly. We saw it in the Masvidal fight. I'd like to see him in boxing. I don't know who I'd like to see him against, but that one's an iffy one. Masvidal's about coming over. That wouldn't be bad. That wouldn't be bad. Sorry, because he's actually quite good on his feet, boxing wise. Justin Gaethje put on a flipping amazing performance.
I've always wanted to know how to pronounce his surname.
Gaethje,
right?
Yeah. So yeah, he had an amazing performance against Tony Ferguson. And the thing that stood out was his power ability of punching. And there's another guy, but then again, like, who do you put him in against? You can't, like, they always say Canelo, but listen, we're talking about probably the pound for pound superstar, best in boxing against an MMA star. It's hard. Of course, it's gonna make money, but if you see a competitive fight, it's got to be someone a bit more lower level. With all due respect.
Yeah, I mean, I still quite like to see, and I think this is a better matched fight, would be Conor McGregor against Paulie Malinargi. I think, you know,
make the fight happen. That's the one.
There's a natural backstory there. They really don't like each other. You could play like both versions of the sparring video in the build-up. They're probably, you know, McGregor's lack of experience as a boxer could level up with the fact that Malinargi now is washed as a boxer, but was once really good, two-weight world champion. Yeah, I mean, I'd pay to see that. I would actually pay to see that.
I would. I mean, the backstory is good. Paulie's been retired for a few years, so, you know, when we have these conversations about Pacquiao and Mayweather, Paulie's been more inactive. You'd have to get in shape. And again, yeah, we know the story behind the sparring, so it leads up to a great one. I think that would sell mad numbers as well. It's a shame it didn't happen sooner, if anything, if it does ever happen in the future. but it is what it is.
Thunder Road on our live chat. He's a loyal viewer. He messages us every week. He says Francis Ngannou. Well, it says Francis N, but I'm assuming it's Ngannou versus Derek Chisora. School me up, Fuad, on Ngannou.
Very, very, very wild. Literally throws from his hips and tries to knock you out. I don't know, man. The one time he faced a boxer, someone who can box in the world of MMA in Stipe Miocic, Miocic just moved around him, just ducked under his punches. So you'd expect someone like Chisora not to have a problem with it. Then we'll have to see where Chisora's at. I mean, he's getting a bit old. Will he be moving or will he engage? If he engages, it'll be a good one. And Ngannou has power.
Chris Mason, stop deleting your comments. Typos are fine. Everyone does typos in their comments on this. We're not appealing to the highest form of intellect on Chat Shiz Get Banged. We're under no illusions here. Just kidding, guys. Please keep tuning in. Who was the? Oh yeah. So James Burrell one. You're gonna have to decipher this one for me, Fuad. He says, "I believe I can eat Ferrero Rocher more and faster than Big John Fury. Fair play to Fuad."
What?
Are you a known Ferrero Rocher, gorger?
Eater.
Actually,
Yeah,
I shouldn't say gorger because that's means something else in the traveller community. But yeah, Ferrero Rocher, is that your thing?
No, I reckon I could do it.
What was the record?
I'm the biggest chocolate fan going.
What was the record? Do you know?
What John did wrong. What John did wrong is you have to leave the wrapping on, and they already had it ready beforehand, so It kind of ruined the whole thing. And also apparently you have to finish one for before putting the other one in, and I think he put like 2 in at once, so he didn't follow the rules.
Oh, so
what a challenge though.
Who could imagine John Fury being a rule breaker? What a shock! But hold on. So what you're saying is that in the standard Ferrero Rocher eating competition protocol, you're supposed to actually take the wrapping off, and that's part of the time.
Yeah, part of the whole challenge is to do that.
Yeah, because that's probably the most difficult bit. Like eating's probably the easy bit, isn't it?
Exactly, because they're so weird to open, so it'd be it's part of the thing. Yeah, I feel sorry for John. He went through all that pain, gobbling down all those Ferrero Rochers, and
I'm just waiting for someone on the live chat to say, with this Ferrero Rocher banter, lads, you're really spoiling us. That's one for the older generation out there. Fuad, you're right to look at me quizzically. It would have been probably before your time. All right, before we head off, you've got Golden Contract tomorrow. You've got Eddie Hearn's show on Sunday. Which fight across the two shows are you most looking forward to?
I think the Golden Contract final. Wait, is the ranking? what card is the ranking? Marshall on this weekend?
No, that's on October 17th.
Yeah. Okay. I think the now main event between Davis and McKenna this weekend. That's the tomorrow. Sorry, that's the one that I'm looking forward to the most.
Okay, for me,
match, how can you not?
Yeah, I am looking forward to it, but I think for me, the one I'm most looking forward to is probably Alan Babich against Niall Kennedy. I interviewed Niall Kennedy not long after the fight was announced. His backstory is fascinating. He's still a serving policeman, a Garda in Ireland. He's mixed in good company. He shows no fear whatsoever about going in with the savage. And as you said, Alan Babich is one of the great finds of 2020. He's got a great personality, great fighting style that people love to watch. And yeah, I mean, heavyweights are always exciting anyway. Well, not always exciting. Johnny Nelson's few forays at heavyweight would lend some falseness to that statement. He won't mind me saying that, I don't think. I interviewed him this morning. Just name drop there, just an excuse. But yeah, I think that's the fight I'm most looking forward to. It can't fail but be exciting.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. I like you always gotta enjoy some heavyweight action, and that one's definitely a good one to look forward to. Yeah, some good action though. Overall, some really good action. this month, October. Really good fights.
Great stuff. Well, guys, really appreciate your time as always. Hopefully we can keep it 6 p.m. Tuesday every week now. No promises though, because you never know what's going to go on in the crazy world of boxing. But yeah, we love having you participate and get involved on the live chats, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time.